I feel like my white balance or the light has been off for this whole video, so that's gonna drive me bonkers during editing. Hello everybody, it's Kara from Wild Book Garden, and today I'm here with what I think is going to end up being my first favorites video for books that I read in 2023. I am breaking these up by genre like I did the year before, because even though I don't have, I think, as many favorite books to talk about, I still have enough that I would like to be able to sort it somehow. And I also want to mention that I am participating in the St. Martin's Press boycott. So far, like, I've only prepared a couple of my favorites lists, and so far I don't think any titles have been affected by that. But if they are, I will not be talking about them until St. Martin's Press does something, you know, to address the xenophobia and Islamophobia of their employee. So just wanted to mention that. Content warnings for the books I talk about will be down below, and this should be a really short one because this is my romance one, and I think I only have 2 favorite romances to talk about for the year. I didn't end up reading a ton of romance this year. It doesn't tend to be one of my most read genres anyway, but I feel like in 2022, for whatever reason, I had more favorites to talk about. So in the number 2 spot, obviously I still love both of these books, but I have Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This is a very well-known, pretty well-loved romance. It is really fandom inspired. We're following our 2 main characters, one of whom is an actor for a sort of like Game of Thrones-esque show, and the other is a woman who is kind of getting into cosplay for the show. She's been a fan of the show for a long time, and unbeknownst to the 2 of them at the beginning of the book, they're actually like best friends online. They both write in the same kind of fan fiction circles. April and Marcus, I think, are the main characters' names, and Marcus ends up finding out pretty early on who April is, and that kind of complicates things because they have actually gone on a date because April gets some really fatphobic, awful comments on a photo of her dressed up as, like, you know, cosplaying for the show. I really hope I have these characters' names correct, or I'm gonna be so annoyed when editing this. But Marcus sees that, like, somebody tags him in it, and he's like, I think you look great, would love to go out to dinner with you if you're in the city sometime, and they do end up doing that, and they would like to see more of each other, but that's complicated by the fact that Marcus knows that the 2 of them actually do already know each other, and April doesn't know that. Yeah, I just really loved this. I loved the romance between them, of course, and I really love how supportive they are of each other. I really like that this book felt very well balanced. Like, there is a lot of time spent on the romance, but it's also about, like, fandom and some of the good and bad aspects of that, which I've said before that, like, fandom stories are not necessarily something I'm drawn to, which is funny because I obviously do get very passionate about, you know, books and stories, but for whatever reason, stories that play on that don't usually work for me super well, but I feel like this one really, really did. I also love the characters individually, and I love how this book is really about, like, 2 really wonderful people, like, finding comfort and happiness in each other while also still standing on their own. April deals with some fatphobia, and even though she's at a point in her journey where she is very comfortable with herself, I feel like she still has believable moments where she doubts herself or she feels down about herself. And Marcus is really struggling to break out of his sort of dumb pretty boy image that he has because of like the show and interviews and everything. So I just really loved this. I also loved the family and the friend relationships. This was just really fantastic. I also loved the audio for this one. And then my number 1 spot goes to The Craft of Love by E.E. Ottoman. So shout out to my friend Kazen from Always Doing, because she was the one who recommended this to me, and I adored it. Like, even if I hadn't had, you know, only a couple of romances to talk about, I think this one would still be at the top or near the top because I just love this so much. It is a historical, and it's also a novella or a short story, so it's very quick to read. I think it's set around, like, early 1900s in, is it New York? I feel like it's New York. And our 2 main characters are both craftsmen, hence the title. So one of our characters is a trans man who does, like, silver work, and then our leading lady, she does like embroidery and, like, quilting and that kind of thing. So our male lead ends up going to her and asking for her to do a project on some, like, fabrics that he has that don't fit him, you know, like, they don't fit who he is, but he would like to kind of preserve them. And so that's how they kind of connect, and they end up forming a relationship, and it is just so lovely and tender and warm. I love the respect that this book has for craftspeople, for artists, like artists specifically that do, like, tactile things, like craftsmanship kind of artistry, because I feel like that doesn't tend to get as much respect as, for example, painters or sculptors, which is funny because sculptors is also very tactile. But this is, again, it's like I love their relationship, but I also love each of these characters separately, and I just love how like gentle and loving and just again, like tender is like the word that I keep thinking of. It's just really, really beautiful. The story also talks about like self-acceptance and also like the question or the difficulty of recognizing that some people who love you and care about you don't see who you really are, and kind of like the difficulties of that, and if you can like kind of take the love and leave the rest. I just think this was incredibly beautiful. Highly recommend. Yeah, I'm so glad Kazen recommended it to me because this is an indie title, so it's pretty like underhyped, you know, and I just thought it was fantastic. Okay, everybody, so that was my very, very short favorite romance list for 2023. Let me know if you've read either of these books, if you like them. I feel like I had two kind of ends of the spectrum. One is like incredibly hyped and popular, and one is like very underhyped and unknown, I think. But yeah, let me know if you've read any of these, if you're interested in either of them. Let me know a romance that you've loved recently. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!